Everyone, welcome back to the Hunt Club podcast. Today we have a product briefing with Chris Johnson from our MDR Tech engineering team. This team is basically behind the MDR service that we have. It's the engine, it's the thing that runs it. So Chris, can you give us a quick introduction of who you are, the team, and what we'll be talking about today?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Chris Johnson. I am a security engineer for Vectra for the MDR team. The team I work on is actually not the customer-facing team that would typically be the analysts or the security specialists that engage directly with the customers, but we actually sit kind of behind them and provide all the necessary resources and tooling to allow them to do their job. Outside of that, though, we also work directly with like the product and engineering teams to do quick turnarounds for implementations or for features that maybe product can't deliver on in a timely manner, or that just may be kind of a one-off request. We will also step in and help with those types of products as well. So, kind of a jack of all trades, but it's a lot of fun.
That's amazing. And we talk a lot about our MDR service from a customer facing standpoint, the benefits that they get, but there's an entire team, your team, that's running the engine behind, the security operations for MDR. So today we're going to be talking about that. Okay, so this is just going to be like a sort of fireside chat. We're going to just talk through a couple of questions. So, all right, Chris, my first question for you is what does an MDR engineer actually do behind the scenes? I know you kind of briefly touched it, but can you go into a little bit
Yeah.
more specifics?
Yeah, so in our particular case, we are a very lean team. There are five of us on this team, and we all kind of have different areas of focus. So just kind of running down the list, we have Steve Stone, who takes care of Cantina, which is the platform that's used by the security specialists and security analysts to help manage the customer, manage incidents, that sort of thing. We also have Matt Pecklick, who does more of the integration work. So you'll hear things like EDR or for third-party integrations, Matt takes care of a lot of that work. And we have two individuals, Renaud and Eric, who do a lot of the front hunting and kind of the ad hoc work. And then there's myself, and I actually am kind of a guy that kind of sits in the middle and kind of fills in the gaps and tries to support these individuals either through putting in resources like I built out our PyPy dev server. I work very closely with Steve on some bugs and issues that may arise. I work closely with Matt, so I just kind of sit in the middle of the team and just kind of help out where I can. Don't have any ownership of any one platform, but I do work with the other individuals pretty closely.
Amazing. And just for the audience here, Cantina is the MDR platform. It is connected to the Vectra AI platform, but it is used by our MDR analysts to, support customers. So what I'm hearing here is that your team, you yourself and your team, kind of use is the engine behind that. Constructs it, but also works with our product management team to build, features, capabilities. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Um,
EDR is a great example. Was something that was requested a while back,
yeah.
and we need to deliver on a very short turnaround. So Matt stepped in, developed the EDR functionality, which is the third party integrations with, we'll just say Zscaler as an example,
Mhm.
or MX in this case, it's an MXDR, um, but he stepped in, delivered that, and so now we manage that until it becomes a high enough priority until product will take ownership of that and actually integrate that into the product. So we do that quite often, where a customer will ask for something very specific. Another great example of this is we have a customer who recently asked for integrations with, I think they have 8 locations. They have, let's just say, a half a dozen different firewall vendors, and they want to be able to, if a block is made, they want to be able to block across their entire enterprise and
Oh,
across all the different types of firewalls.
yeah.
So Matt is actually going to taking that and working with the different vendors to basically put in place the architecture so that when the analysts want to block an IP, a firewall, a URL, whatever, they can just enter that and it'll actually go out and talk to each one of the firewalls at each one of the locations and put a block rule in place. So I mean, that kind of gives you a good example of some of the things that we step in to do, you know, and to augment product. I won't say to replace because it's part. We're not trying to replace product, but we will definitely augment and help increase the velocity in which we can deliver features.
You would say, like, it's a very, in general, the MDR service is a very catered service. Like, we're responding directly to customer needs and even building things behind the scenes to make sure that we deliver that service to the customers. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. Some things, we can put in the product. Some things are requested via the customer that could be put in the product roadmap and delivered through the traditional workflow. Other things, customers may need as a contingency for, we need this delivered prior to sale, or this is a very hot issue. We need to address it. Um, and so we can step in and, like I say, we are under the same restrictions as the product slash engineering teams are. So we can step in and deliver it usually at a pretty quick turnaround to help
Mhm.
augment anything like that that a customer may need. So yeah, we do cater a lot to customer requirements.
Mhm. That's amazing. I'm so glad that we're having a conversation now to surface that because it goes so unnoticed, even by me who I work closely with the MDR team. Been here at Vectra for like over 2 years now, and I think this thing just goes, your team and the work that you do, it just goes really, below the surface, and I am really glad we're
Oh,
talking now.
yeah,
So
that's
oh,
always the interesting part about what we do, right? Is
yeah.
because we are not customer facing, we are kind of, I'll just say, behind the scenes or behind the curtain. A lot of what we do is just kind of, I won't say taken for granted, but at the same time, it's not, people don't understand that there is a team that's back here that's actually doing this work and delivering these things
Mhm,
to help us accelerate
mhm.
and increase our product offerings to our customers.
Yeah, amazing. So my next question to you is when an alert comes in, what's actually happening behind the scene before an MDR analyst sees it? Specifically like on Cantina. Can you speak about that?
Yeah, so in most cases, Cantina it directly talks to the MDR service, or to the Vectra service,
Mhm,
and we are monitoring, looking for alerts that are coming from the brains. In which case, what we'll do is when we see an alert or we see something that needs to be addressed, we will then trigger an event within the Cantina service, and then
mhm,
that'll get put into a queue for the next available analyst to then go in and triage to try and determine what steps need to be taken to resolve it. In some cases, it may be a false positive, in which case they can just basically close it out right then and there. In some cases, they do have to do some additional analysis to determine kind of the root cause, or they can stitch different events together. So I mean, there are a lot of things that are happening there that could take you off and choose your own adventure. But the whole premise behind it and what we're trying to do with Cantina is help the analysts in the same way we want to help our customers reduce the noise. We also want to help our analysts reduce the noise so that when they jump in and help triage a ticket, they're focused on the right things and not just kind of chasing their tail, um, you know, trying to find the root cause. We're trying to help direct them to the right locations.
I think that's so interesting. It's like there's multiple like layers to the onion here, or like it's sort of even meta in a way, where like our Vectra AI platform is to reduce noise. One of the use cases to reduce noise for the analysts that are using it directly. And then for our MDR service, it's like from Vectra AI platform to Cantina to the MDR analysts. I think it's
Yeah.
really interesting. It's sort of like, how do I even describe this? It's just like it's so meta in a way. It's like our like Vectra is reducing noise, but then Cantina is also reducing noise for our MDR analysts. I think it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
um,
One of the things too that I will acknowledge that Steve has recently done, I think that's really kind of unique, is that we have actually gamified a little bit of
mm,
what we do in Cantina. So that encourages the analysts to stay engaged and to do things, because I know, a lot of this work can get very mundane or can get very routine, and you kind
right.
of lose, you lose sight of the forest of the trees. So what we also try and do with things like Cantina is we always try to keep it fun and engaging so the
Mhm.
analysts will enjoy doing their job. So that's another big thing that, kudos to Steve for doing things like that, to like I say, just to kind of keep them going and keep them engaged. and making the job fun, not just kind of a routine day-to-day job.
Yeah, that's so interesting. It's like the struggles of a SOC analyst in any company is the same struggle as an MDR analyst here, where there is fatigue, there is burnout. So that's really interesting that there's some gamification in the cantina. That sounds really fun. And from my conversations with a lot of our MDR analysts, like they seem to love their job. So I'm not sure if it's because of the fun stuff in cantina or maybe it's just like what they're doing in general. But I love that. That's really amazing. Okay, sort of talking about your job here. What's the biggest challenge in keeping MDR operations running 24/7, and how are you approaching on resolving that or solving that?
Yeah. I'd say the biggest challenge that we have is because we are such a small team or a lean team, and we have such a number of different areas that we focus on. Like I said, we have Cantina, we have EDR, the EDR integrations, we have threat hunting, we have all these things. The biggest challenge there is really just keeping things up and running, um, and keeping things moving in the right direction. And so, we to help facilitate that, although every person in the team kind of has a focus area, what we do is we go on a rotating schedule, on a daily rotation schedule, to be able to cover any issues that may arise within the systems. So, everything is tied to, we do logging and alerting for pretty much all the systems. And then that then rolls into things like pager duty. So if something does go down or something happens, we do have at least one person queued up on a daily basis to be able to be the front line to address it. And then if beyond the scope of what they are comfortable with. So like I'll use if Eric Martin, who does our threat hunting, gets an error or gets an issue that rises in Cantina, if it's beyond the scope of what he's feel comfortable with, then he will kind of escalate to either myself or Steve, who can then jump in and help address any, or in triage. Or if it goes to me first, and then like since Steve is the owner, then maybe I'll escalate to Steve at that point. Um, so it is, although like I said, we aren't a very lean team, we have done a really good job of keeping everybody engaged and at least somewhat knowledgeable in all the platforms, and keeping them all up and running. So our uptime is, we do a really good job with that. So
Yeah, I think that actually speaks upon, in my opinion, from my perspective, a really well-oiled machine. You said it was like a team of five, right? Six, five,
two, three,
including.
four, five, including Jonathan, it'd be six. Yeah.
Yeah, 6. So, a team of 6, super well-oiled machine where you guys are covering, bases covering all your bases and covering, like, for example, like, if there's, like, if one person is offline, then another person is covering that. So, I think it really speaks upon how well, the MDR team in general works together and also speaks upon how much expertise which within Vectra. So I think that's really, really great. My fourth question to you is there's a lot of talk about automation and AI, Gen AI, agentic AI. We have our AI agents within the Vectra AI platform itself. We have what we call AI assistant and what do we call it again? I'm blanking, but we have the AI behind MDR too. So there's a lot of talk about automation and AI, but I want to hear about how AI is, changing your day-to-day work as an MDR engineer, or if how you're using AI.
Yeah, so really that kind of we kind of break that apart into two pieces, right? I mean, I mean, AI is an extremely valuable tool, and there's a lot of value that could be used. I think the problem that we have to be careful of is using AI where other tools are probably more efficient or better suited to operate, right? And so when we think about some of the things that we do, um, you know, using AI for the sake of just what I'll say is general or basic automation is leveraging AI for something that really is beyond the scope of what really it should be used for, right? I mean, you have to kind of think about everything in terms of layers. And so you think about, AI and, the costs associated with AI and the prompt and all those things that are associated with that can really be I will say problematic. I use that word very tongue in cheek. We don't want to do simple automation leveraging AI because then that can potentially cause problems there. So in our particular team, we have to be very cognizant of it and that we pick the right tool for the right job. And so, for some things, and for a lot of things that we do, um, I will just say simple automation is probably a better tool than AI is, in terms of keeping things up and running. Now, with that said, there are areas where AI is where we're really starting to tap into the power of AI to help us, right? We're getting into more and more complex programming methodologies. We're getting into more and more complex alerting and some of those things where AI can really kind of tease out um, some of the things that maybe we as humans or we as individuals will miss. So we are kind of we're adopting AI more and more and more and more to help us make us better and more efficient. But like I said, going back to the original statement, that we have to be careful that we're not just blindly implementing AI,
Yeah.
because it is not a tool that's going to solve every problem.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the problems that people often want to believe is like AI is just like the fix for everything, but
Yeah.
it's really not.
It's not. Yeah, and I think this is the sort of approach that Vectra has in general, like as an entire company, is that we are built on AI. Our AI is baked within our platform, within our product, but there is always still that aspect of human expertise, such as through the MDR analyst, that is necessary for cybersecurity. And I think this really resonates too. And I totally understand. Like sometimes when I input a question in ChatGPT, they spit out something really really random, and it's not right. It's not right. Not what I want at all. So there's a really good balance, or there's a really fine balance between automation, human expertise, and then AI. And given how Cantina is running, given how the MDR team is running, I can say that your team is doing a very, very good job of balancing that. And so yeah,
Thank
amazing.
you. And I'll let Jonathan know.
Yeah, no, no, let him know. He knows what I think about you guys too. He knows. I'm pretty sure. And I think you guys are awesome. So my last question to you is if you could show the average CISO what your world looks like for just one day, what do you think would surprise them the most? Something that's like unexpected. Um, yeah.
I, I think so. I think some of this kind of comes down to kind of what role each of us is playing in this world.
Mhm.
You know, um, like But I think the interesting part for a lot of CISOs is, you know, I think kind of this I really kind of ties back into the last question that you asked is, everybody has kind of, jumped on this idea of AI is here to solve all our problems and it's here to replace, all our users. But the reality of it all is AI can, like I say, it fits a very specific niche, and there's still a lot of human intervention, manual intervention expertise that is still going to be extremely required. And the amount of um, involvement people like Steve and Matt and the team do, there's still quite a bit of work that needs to be done that just really cannot be addressed solely by AI. And so, um, you know, I think from a CISO's perspective, I understand we want to maximize our velocity and maximize our response and maximize all these things. But at the end of the day, a lot of that still comes back down to people who have been doing this for years and who have the expertise to understand what it's really all about. And we have data scientists and we have, our own AI in our platform, but all that stuff has to come from somewhere, right? And that learning has to come from um, folks like our team and the security analysts um, and what have you. So I think that would probably be the biggest surprising is we hear so much about AI and how it's taking over. Um, there are some places where it very well can and it very well might. I think in our space at least, and at least for now, still just required a lot of just expertise, and understanding of what's really happening when you see events occur and stitching them together. That just, at least as of today, just can't be replaced with AI.
Absolutely.
Not easily,
Yeah,
at least.
of course. AI is an assistant to our work. It's not a replacement at all. And that it really resonates. There was when AI started popping off. There was like a conversation where it's like AI is not going to replace your job. What's going to happen is that you are going to find ways to utilize that AI to maximize and optimize your job. So Not we're not gonna talk about the whole AI conversation now, but, yeah, I do really resonate with what you're saying, and I think you are a great representation of that human expertise that's needed for, AI and automation within the MDR team. We're gonna go deep into layers here, but, so yeah, those are all my questions, but do you have any last thoughts, any last thoughts about what you wanna say about the MDR team, about your team, about, Vector or cybersecurity
Oh,
in general?
hey, I just want to say thank you for giving us the time. I think this is, as somebody who's spent a number of years in support, who's kind of operated a lot with on teams like this, where we aren't always at the at the forefront
Mhm.
of, like the sales and the customer facing. Sometimes we kind of get lost, and
Yeah.
so having the ability to kind of share what we do and share the value that we bring, share the value that we bring to the table, I think is extremely important. So definitely appreciate you and the team for reaching out.
Yep.
But the other thing I'll say is, highlighting something you said earlier was, although we are a streamlined team, we are a very, highlighting my team members. Um, they are phenomenal at what they do, and so without skilled folks and without the folks that exist on this team, um, you know, it will be a very different, we'd be having a very different conversation. So,
Mhm.
kudos to them for the amount of effort and time they put into it, and the results that they've been able to achieve with the size of the team that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anything, I believe that our results really resonate, that really amplify that. And I really hope to have conversations with the rest of your team too. Maybe I'll hit them up and do a little fireside chat like this too. But yeah, thanks, Chris. And for the audience, please leave in the comments, what do you think? What surprises you about MDR engineering? Is there anything that resonates with you? What are your thoughts on AI in the mixture of human expertise and optimization? Please leave a comment down below, and we're happy to, discuss further. And then, Chris, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate the conversations. And yeah, we'll see you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. See y'all. Bye bye.
Bye bye.